Hello! 3 cards revealed for the Boomsday expansion. First up is Pogo-Hopper, 2 mana 1/1 mech for rogue with the Battlecry, gain +2/+2 for each other Pogo-Hopper you've played this game. Okay, so personally, I'm not a fan of Quest Rogue. That first season when Nagoro came out left a bad taste in my mouth, and Pogo seems to be made for this deck. Since the nerf, Quest Rogue really hasn't seen much play, which I prefer, but Pogo is a good card. There's still some bouncing cards Rogue can use to complete the quest, they have a lot of card draw to get through their deck, and they now even have more ways of shuffling minions like Pogo into their deck. I like how the designers are trying to make Quest Rogue less about bouncing cards and more about shuffling cards into their deck and drawing the copies to complete the quest. Still, this only prolongs the quest game plan, and it doesn't really make the deck any more interactive between both players. The only goal of the deck is to stay alive and complete the quest. There's nothing besides killing you the opponent can do to mess up your game plan. So looking at Pogo, every time you play it, it becomes better at a pretty rapid pace. Whether you choose to shuffle copies into your deck or just bounce them back into your hand, you can use Pogo as a minion to contest the board or complete the quest while also buffing its Battlecry. And even when you complete the quest, Pogo's Battlecry will still buff the minion, only now it starts as a 4/4 and then applies the Battlecry buff. So you're looking at some big bunnies if you can play this card alive. Now, I don't think this is gonna ruin the meta. You still need to combo Pogo with bounce cards or shuffle cards to beef it up. If this is going to work in a Quest Rogue deck, then it's going to have to be a lot slower than previous iterations and include a lot of card draw. My guess is that Quest Rogue will find a decent deck to play, but in the end, their slower deck won't be able to tempo out opponents, and their lesser 4/4 minions and even the 10/10 Pogos won't be able to outvalue opponents in the late game. I think this deck is on the edge though, so if some more bounce, shuffle, or draw cards are added to Rogue, it might be able to tip the scales for Quest Rogue, and we could have a bunny problem. Next up is Omega Assembly. 1 mana warrior spell that discovers a mech, but if you have 10 mana crystals, you keep all 3 mechs. I like the idea of this card, basically tripling your value if you're in the late game, but why on earth would you run a 1 mana spell in a slow deck that's going to get to 10 mana? The only reason I could see to run this is if mechs are really that good. Warrior probably has the most going for it in terms of mechs, with the Dr. Boom hero card giving mechs rush and some other ways of getting more mechs. Honestly, 1 mana to discover a mech isn't half bad, so if this deck ends up being more aggro or tempo, then maybe this could still work. In terms of design, it's a cool idea, but in terms of value, it seems too low for slower decks. I don't think Mech Warrior is going to be so good that Omega Assembly is worth playing, but there are going to be some more mechs to come, so we'll see. And last up is Gloop Sprayer, 8 mana 4/4 minion for Druid with the Battlecry, summon a copy of each adjacent minion. I like this card. It's kind of a meme card where with the Twig you can basically combo this with some other big minions, but it could also work in more competitive decks. If you really feel like you need some more Hadronoxes, it could make Taunt Druid even better in the late game. Or you can mess around with some dragon recruiting and duplicate some powerful dragons. Funny enough, I think Druid has enough late game. The deck doesn't really need to improve value later on. The best way they can improve is more ramp or anti-aggro cards. So I think for the case of Gloop Sprayer, there are just better options. Unless there's a specific combo or the meta is super control, I don't think it's going to see much play. Gloop Sprayer, still a cool card in my book. That is all of the cards for now. I'll be back later today with some more. Make your bed, and until then, ta-ta.